I'm dreaming. A hazy and indistinct dream, as though I'm watching it through a layer of caramelized sugar. Do I desire her? I don't know. I must have had some reason to. There must have been some story behind why I feel this way. My mind is such a mess right now that I can't even recall who I used to be. Still, even though my thoughts are in such disarray, it's an undeniable fact that I have feelings for her. Do I love her? I'm not so sure anymore. I want to see her and talk to her again as soon as I can, and yet these bold wishes of mine, ones I hold dear from the bottom of my heart, are wavering. She's precious to me, but thinking about what I am to her scares me. After my lethal tryst with Arkwade at her apartment, it became painfully evident to me what kind of person I am. There's no room for debate there. Vampires may be man-eating monsters, but my eyes are also an inexcusable evil. As someone who ought to have never been born, I should have just disappeared that night, washed away by the rain. But there was someone who told me that I could atone for my sins. That helping hand of hers meant more than anything to me, but I found that I didn't want to love her so much as I wanted not to make her sad. That's why I'm not so sure anymore. All I wanted was to see her smile, so why? And why did she make the one face I absolutely didn't want to see? Was it all my fault? Yes, Shiki, everything is your fault. Shiki-sama. I'm greeted by the morning sunshine, along with the sound of Hisui calling out to me. Shiki-sama, it is time to wake up. Please do not go back to sleep. My sunken consciousness begins to stir. Her voice is emotionless yet firm, as though she were uttering a prayer, relying on it to guide me. I dredge my thoughts up from the depths. That's right, I forgot my glasses. I must still be tired after everything that happened yesterday. A horrible dull pain runs through my temple as soon as I open my eyes. Good morning, Hisui. Thanks for waking me today as well. What time is it? Oops, I guess I'm cutting it close. I'll change right away and then head to the dining room. I roll out of bed, still wearing my pajamas. My head is still pounding, but it ought to clear up soon enough. Shiki-sama, are you not going to wear your glasses today? Huh? Oh, no, I will. I have a bit of a headache, so they just slipped my mind. Shiki-sama, are you feeling unwell this morning too? It's just a headache. It won't last. Physically, I'm fine, and I've actually been feeling pretty good lately. I've just not been getting a lot of sleep. Had a lot to think about. I'm sure I don't look all that healthy to Hisui. In truth, I don't even have the strength to put on a brave front. Whether I'm asleep or awake, I can't stop thinking about how I parted ways with Ciel-senpai. Eliminating Roa's remaining offspring was supposed to be my top priority, but I can't focus on that or the way Arkwade was acting last night at all. I assume you will be taking the day off school then? Nah, I'll still go. That said, I'll be late if I don't hurry. School is the only place that links me to Senpai. I can't stay home just because I have a headache. As you wish. If you must go, I humbly ask that you do not strain yourself too much. Hisui leaves the room, though judging by the look in her eyes, that wasn't all she wanted to say. Ow! My splitting headache flares up again. It died down a bit while I was talking with Hisui, but the moment she left, it came roaring right back. Ooh, that's a pretty bad headache. Crap, this doesn't feel like it's going away anytime soon. My head feels like it's being run through a shredder. Normally when I get dizzy it feels like I'm falling, but this is more like my consciousness has been torn to ribbons. I can't even stay on my feet. I bury my face in the bed and clamp my hands over my head to try and suppress the pain. The pain doesn't go away. Of course it doesn't. It's coming from within. The inescapable nature of that pain has been etched into my flesh and bone over the past 7 years. Except this time, it's even worse than usual. It's like someone has driven a railway spike through my skull. The pain slices straight through my brainstem, cutting off my ability to even remember what I was thinking about. Looking back on it, Tonoshiki has had to compromise with this body ever since the accident 7 years ago. The sudden nausea, the headaches, the anemia. I can't even count the number of things I've been forced to give up on as a result. The doctors told me it was a miracle I even survived, that I should be grateful I was alive at all. Were they trying to tell me that in exchange for that miracle, I should be prepared to put up with a little pain? My eyes can see the death all around me. Sensei helped me come to terms with these eyes and told me to treasure that miracle. I wonder what she meant. Was it that life isn't necessarily precious on its own, but that we should treasure it all the same because we don't get another one? Over the past few days, I've seen countless people die. Life is frail. It's actually laughable how frail it is. It's nothing more than luck of the draw whether any person dies or not. There is nothing that separates the living from the dead. There are no walls that can shelter you from death. There are no guarantees that any of us will go on existing. Life is fundamentally something which ends regardless of the will of the individual. To think life precious would be to reveal one's ignorance of its true nature. What the? Why am I? How long are you even going to keep on about this, thinking about this? At long last, my headache subsides. I inhale deeply and take a moment to collect myself. The fresh morning air washes away the unpleasant feelings that clung to me. Phew, I've calmed down. It's times like these that I most need to keep my composure. My goal remains the same. I have to purge all vampires from the city. To that end, I'll not only cooperate with Arcwade, but also do my best to assist Senpai. That's right. Senpai won't disappear so long as there are still vampires. As such, there's no reason for her to have given up her disguise as a student. All I can do now is pray that I'm right about that. I should hurry over there right away. I leave my room, doing my best to ignore the headache still lurking in the corner of my brain. I don't know how you can really ignore that. Like if he gets that headache again, I mean, I don't think him or anyone around him is going to be able to ignore it. I take the stairs down to the lobby. To my right is the hallway that leads to the dining room. Straight ahead is the front door of the mansion. I can't quite make up my mind. Akiha's probably still in the living room, so should I stop to eat breakfast and pay her a visit? Or should I rush to school as fast as I can to find Senpai? This morning I'll be sure to say hi to everyone before I leave, make Senpai my top priority. Well, this is the Ciel route, so I feel like we should probably make Ciel the top priority, but I've been wrong before. Yeah, looks like I was right. This morning, Senpai is my top priority. I get the feeling that if I don't rush over there as soon as I can, I'll never get another chance to see her again. I don't have time to waste eating breakfast. Shiki-sama? As I head toward the front door, I hear Hisui call to me from the direction of the dining room. Trying to escape, Shiki? She's looking at me with a worried expression on her face. She must have come to fetch me after I never showed up for breakfast. I'm gonna head on out, sorry. Could you give my regards to Kohaku-san and Akiha? After making my excuses to Hisui, I rush out the door. I'll pick up something for breakfast at a convenience store along the way. I know I'm causing trouble for Hisui, but right now I just want to get to school as fast as I physically can. I wonder if this is the point of the story, like how in the original game where Ciel makes it so everyone forgot about her. I arrive at the school gate. Since I ran the whole way here, I've managed to arrive before 7:30 a.m. I wait for Senpai in front of the school gates. The small handfuls of students arriving at this hour throw suspicious glances my way, but I don't care. And she never appears. It's now a little after 7:30 a.m. There are a lot more students now. With club activities on hold, this is about the time most people aim to arrive. The school gates are getting busier by the second. I can't spot anyone that looks like Senpai in the crowd. 7:55 a.m. Only 5 minutes left before the gates close. Ultimately, I wasn't able to find hide nor hair of Senpai. Maybe she showed up before I did. Maybe she came in through the rear entrance. Or maybe she's never coming to school ever again. The thought of this worst-case scenario is heart-wrenching. A chill runs down my spine. I should have known better to entertain these kinds of what-ifs. What disgusts me is, I thought I'd be able to reject these hypotheticals. But instead, I've already accepted them as the obvious outcome. Stop thinking such stupid thoughts. Didn't Senpai say she'd still come to school no matter what happened? That's right. She's just absent today, that's all. After what happened between us yesterday, it makes sense she'd take the day off. I'm sure I'll get a chance to see her again tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, then the day after. Or if that falls through, the day after that. In any case, there's nothing for me to do but wait. I'll wait right here, even if she never comes. So is she just going to wait by the gate the whole time? Enough with the stupid thoughts, I said. I sweep away the uncertainty lingering in the back of my mind. I'm out of time. It won't do me any good to stay here. I spare one last look at the road leading up to the school, then turn and make my way inside. I enter the classroom just as the bell rings to signal the start of homeroom. Noelle-sensei is supposed to be in charge of our class, but looks like she hasn't shown up today either. She was a substitute teacher to begin with, and we don't have any substitute teachers to take her place, so the students on duty for today are going around distributing printouts instead. Looks like Arihiko's here today. He's been acting like a proper student lately. Morning. You got something going on today, Arihiko? Yo, morning. It's cause I don't have anything going on that I came here. And hey, aren't you the one who's acting strange? I heard you were loitering around the front gate earlier with a haunted look on your face. News gets around fast, huh? I got some business with Senpai, so I was hoping I might run into her there. Didn't work out though, unfortunately. Senpai? What Senpai, Shiki? Arihiko, you've been in the classroom all morning, right? Did she stop by at all? Huh? Which senpai are you talking about? You aren't in any clubs, dude. Where would you even have met an upperclassman? Oh, do you mean like a spiritual senpai? Someone who gives you gaming tips or life tips or whatever? What? No, Ciel senpai is an honest-to-goodness third-year student. I mean, yeah, sure, there are definitely times you could mistake her for an underclassman, but come on, senpai is just senpai. Anyway, way to change the topic. Did you see her this morning or not? Ciel senpai? I never heard of her. I thought our school didn't have any foreign exchange students. Yep, this is exactly how it played out in the original. Because I was waiting for this to happen where she just disappears and everybody forgets about her. Just as my spirits had started to lift, they come crashing right back down again. I repeat my question to Arihiko, doing my best to ignore the chill running down my spine. I'm talking about Ciel senpai. Ciel senpai. You were making passes at her, remember? I can't even count the number of times the three of us had lunch together. Really? I've had lunch with a lot of people, but I feel like I'd remember an upperclassman with a weird name like that. You lose your marbles while you were recuperating or something, Tono? I feel like the rug's been pulled out from under me, sending me tumbling into the void. Arihiko's quip doesn't quite reach my ears. I collapse onto my chair like a puppet whose strings have been cut, not knowing what to think. So that's how it is. I reflect bitterly on what's happened. Only now that it's come to this do I finally realize I've made a choice that cannot be undone. Senpai is gone. She's vanished from our school, leaving behind no trace that she was ever here at all. Morning classes are over. I sat through them all in a daze. Unable to even think of my own accord, I sat at my desk and let the words of the lectures wash over me like an unfamiliar sermon. Even now, I can't decide what I should do next. Man, I'm hungry. Even emptied of my emotions, it seems that I can still feel the pangs of hunger. Arihiko has already left for the cafeteria. I've had my fill of dizziness, so for now I think I'll switch off my brain and lose myself in a meal. I must have missed the lunch rush, as there's nobody lined up waiting to order. I press the button on the ordering machine for a dish that catches my eye, then exchange the ticket with the person behind the counter for a tray. It would seem I ordered the croquette set meal. I idly wonder whether deep-fried food will agree with my stomach right now, but it doesn't really matter. I look around the cafeteria for a suitable place to sit down. As I do. I briefly catch sight of a student that looks just like Senpai. What a joke. I must really be out of it if I'm confusing people for Ciel Senpai just because they look kinda similar. How out of it, you ask? Well, enough that I can't tear my gaze away from the Senpai lookalike, even though I know that it's not her. The Senpai lookalike sits down at her table, rubs her hands in anticipation, then starts noisily slurping her udon noodles. Funnily enough, it's curry udon. She really is the spitting image of Senpai, right down to her food choices. What? Hold on, she isn't just the spitting image of Ciel Senpai, she is Ciel Senpai. Senpai! I sprint over to the table she's sitting at. Just fooled you, I was only pretending to erase everybody's memories and disappear. Senpai glances up at me briefly, then pouts, and turns away again. She's clearly avoiding me, but I'm not in a state of mind to let that deter me. Senpai, I don't understand. What are you doing here? Isn't that more than a little weird? I don't see why you're so confused. I'm a student here. I won't make it through the day if I don't eat lunch now, will I? Okay, yeah, that's true, but yesterday... I have no idea what to say. This is all so sudden that I can't think straight. Senpai huffily turns her head away from me, a terribly displeased expression on her face. I'm sorry. I was so on edge that I just started babbling. Is it alright if I sit here? If you insist, why were you so on edge? Well, why? Because I thought I'd never get to see you again. You being here is like a dream come true. Oh? A dream come true sounds rather melodramatic. I'm not being melodramatic at all. After everything that's happened, when I found out Arihiko didn't even remember you, I seriously thought you'd abandoned me. If I'm being honest, I thought that ever since last night. After you bade me farewell, I thought we'd never meet again. Yeah. In truth, I'd understood then and there that I'd never see her again. I'd simply been lying to myself, trying to hide from the pain of losing her. Why would you say something like that? Farewell makes it sound like we can't see each other anymore. Of course we couldn't. After all, it was getting rather late. A wholesome student such as yourself should have been heading home at that hour. Without batting an eye, she deadpans an absolutely laughable response. Don't be ridiculous! When you say it like that, how am I supposed to interpret it as anything other than a permanent farewell? Even if it were a permanent farewell, it would be strictly between you and me. It wouldn't have any bearing on whether I go to school or not. Or are you suggesting that a monster like me shouldn't go to school, Tono-kun? Senpai stares me down with the same emotionless eyes as last night. She called herself a monster. I don't know if Senpai really is a vampire or not. It's probably the first thing I should have investigated and confirmed or disproved, but I don't spare it so much as a thought. I didn't even want to suspect her of being a vampire. It's true that Senpai's body is a little different. She's able to immediately heal seemingly lethal wounds, meaning that she's just as far removed from being human as Arcwade is. I can't deny that an ability like that is just what you'd expect from a vampire. No, from something that surpasses vampires. But even with all that said, she's still someone precious to me. So precious that being away from her just for half a day was enough to make my life feel empty and pointless. It would be an exaggeration to say that I don't care about her true nature at all, but it definitely doesn't bother me. Even if Ciel Senpai is a similar sort of being to Arcwade, the feelings I have for her will not change. Forget it. I know you'll hate me no matter what, but I'm not going to let it get to me. This is how I've always lived after all. I already decided that I'd follow my own heart, regardless of what you might tell me. Senpai vigorously wolfs down her curry udon. Eating her feelings like that can't be healthy. Her face is set in an incredibly stubborn expression, as though she's daring me to voice my complaints but simultaneously threatening to cut all ties with me if I do. I'm thrilled beyond belief that Ciel Senpai is back, but before I get too carried away with my excitement, there's something I need to say. Or are you suggesting that a monster like me shouldn't go to school, Tono-kun? Senpai said that to me with a strained expression on her face, and I still haven't given her my answer. Now is the time for me to tell her how I feel. I think that you'll always be Ciel Senpai to me, you're cute, you really love curry. I think it's obvious that it's the first one. I don't hate you at all. To me, you'll always be Ciel Senpai. You're fun to be around. caring to a fault, looked good in glasses, incredibly cool, and saved me when I needed it. You can try and deny it all you like, but I'll just keep on repeating it. Look, point is, whatever happens, you'll always be Ciel-senpai to me. Not once have I thought of you as a vampire or any other kind of monster. There have been plenty of occasions where I thought about what an incredible person you are, but that's not the sort of thing to strike fear into my heart. So please, don't talk about yourself like that. You're not that kind of person. Besides, I've already made my peace with the fact that you'll disappear someday. You said you'd stay here until graduation, but I know that as soon as all the vampires in the city have been taken care of, you'll move on. Even so, I don't want that farewell in the park to be our last. I want you to be smiling when I see you for the last time. As I put my feelings into words, I feel tears begin to well up in the corners of my eyes. I try to hide them by looking down at the table. I've finally faced the truth I've been avoiding for a while now, and the thought of saying goodbye to her is so sad that my emotions have gotten the better of me. But still, I said it. I still have all sorts of things I want to tell her and ask her about, but if I've managed to convey the way I feel, that's all I can hope for right now. Thank you. When you put it like that, it really does make me almost unbelievably happy. And I'm sorry, it seems like I was the one who was being stubborn. Senpai? I raised my head at the sound of her shy voice. I understand what you're trying to say. So, does that mean you wouldn't mind no matter what kind of body I had, Tono-kun? Of course! Well, assuming we don't get too liberal with the definition of body. Then, you don't hate being around me either? Not one bit. On the contrary, allow me to apologize. I was a total pain in the neck all day yesterday. I mean, if I'd just listened to you, I'm sure that whole business with Arcwade would have ended peacefully. I don't think there would have been a way for that to have ended peacefully. So let me be clear, this is all 100% my fault. I swear I'll listen to you from now on, Senpai, and I hope that you'll forgive me. I bow my head and apologize. I made Senpai sad. The circumstances around how it happened don't matter. There's still no excuse. I vow to myself that I'll never make her feel that way again. Goodness gracious, there's just no winning against you, Tono-kun. You'll listen to me from now on? Sounds like you still plan on diving into the fray. I came here to caution you that you mustn't get involved with myself or vampires, but I just can't turn you away when you look at me like that. Senpai, does that mean... Senpai lets out a playfully exaggerated sigh and stands up. Very well. In that case, let's shake hands. Shake hands? That's right, a handshake of reconciliation. With that, we can let everything that happened yesterday be water under the bridge. Though, if you can't bear the thought of linking hands with me, then don't force yourself. As if that would ever bother me. I grasp Senpai's outstretched hand. Senpai's fingers are pale, lithe, and soft. These aren't the fingers of a vampire, they're suffused with the warmth of a human heart. There, we've made up now. I look forward to our continued partnership, Tono-kun. Senpai breaks into one of her trademark smiles. Flustered by its brilliance, I manage to likewise. Oh, and thank you. You didn't have to, but you came to the cafeteria so that we could work things out. I can't tell you how happy I am to see you again. I express the feelings I missed the chance to put into words earlier. Senpai's breath catches in her throat for a moment. Then, a gentle smile blooms across her face, one that wouldn't be amiss on a mother doting on their child. Okay, so if she wasn't going to just disappear and erase everyone's memories, then why in the hell did Arihiko not remember who she was? And then she just shows up again in the cafeteria like nothing happened. Senpai and I are on our way back from lunch. We only have a couple of minutes left until our next class, so we decide to part ways and head for our respective classrooms. I to my second-year classroom, and Senpai to her third-year one. Wait a minute. I'm thrilled to be reunited with Senpai, but aren't I letting that cloud my judgment? Can I really afford to put off our discussion about Arcwade and vampires? It's fine, I can bring it up again after school. I can't, we need to discuss this immediately. That's a tough one, honestly. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we better go ahead and bring it up now. No way that can wait. Senpai, hold up. Yes? I quickly call out to Senpai. What is it, Tono-kun? 5th period is about to start. We'd better hurry if we don't want to be late. That may be true, but I'd like to sit down and talk some stuff out. Shall we go to the tea ceremony room? That way we won't have to worry about anyone overhearing us. It looks like I said enough for Senpai to understand what it is I want to talk about. So be it then. You'll be skipping 5th period. I trust that won't jeopardize your grades? I shake my head. Not an issue. Senpai casually heads for the wing where the club rooms are located, acting like the two of us don't know each other. I see. I guess that's the sort of attention to detail you need to avoid calling attention to yourself while undercover at school. The bell rings, announcing the beginning of 5th period. I've never been this bold about skipping class before. Not only that, but I'm skipping them while still at school. No need to worry about being caught. Teachers never pass by the tea ceremony room. Ciel Senpai is in the kitchenette brewing some tea. She seems pretty calm about this. I'd wager this isn't the first time she's slipped away from class. Thank you for waiting. Here's the tea of the day. Once you've taken a sip and gotten settled, feel free to tell me what's on your mind. Well then, where to begin? What's bothering me the most is what happened yesterday with Arkwade, but I worry that jumping straight to that would shatter the peaceful atmosphere. I ask about her relationship with Noel-sensei, ask about what that cathedral thing was, timidly broach the topic of Arkwade. Okay, well that's definitely off limits. Maybe we should ask about Noel? I don't know. I feel like we don't know all the details of that. I've never really asked about her relationship with Noel-sensei, so maybe now's a good time to get some insight on that. You and Noel-sensei really seem to get along. She's always singing your praises and talking about what an incredible girl you are. Well, that's actually not true. What? What a dramatic reaction. The vehement disbelief in her voice is completely out of character for the ordinarily calm and collected Ciel Senpai. Am I wrong? This seems like a potentially risky line of inquiry, but I continue anyway. Senpai responds. Well, it's true that Sister Noel has been my partner for many years. Is that really your honest impression, Tono-kun? And you said she praised me? Is that true? Senpai replies with a timid question of her own, like she's a child that's just been scolded for something. This may have been a bad call. It seems there's a lot more to unpack on this subject than I thought. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pry. On the surface, it looked like the two of you were on good terms, but it seemed like Noel-sensei maybe had it out for you a little. Well, maybe it's more like she's being competitive, and I had the impression that you also act a little reserved toward Noel-sensei. Goodness, so your question was out of concern that Noel-sensei and I are on bad terms with each other? Rest assured, there is nothing to be worried about on that front, Tono-kun. We're executors after all. We don't bring personal feelings into our duties, nor do we pry into each other's private lives. Noel-sensei may have strange tastes, take passes at you during her off hours, and drink herself into a coma after work, but you'll definitely never see me criticize her for any of that. Certainly not. Even though you kind of were. She's right. That doesn't make it sound like they're on bad terms. It makes it sound like they don't interact at all. Is Ciel Senpai bad at making friends? So the two of you don't meet up unless you're exterminating vampires. That makes sense, I suppose. There's obviously the age gap, and I get the feeling that you don't really share any interests, so I guess I can't really picture you hanging out in your free time. The age gap? Yeah, I feel like Ciel is definitely much older than Noel probably is. Although we don't really know much about Noel, so maybe she's also much older than we think she is. But she's also, well, no, she's not really, she doesn't really have the immortality thing like Ciel does, at least as far as we know. Purely out of curiosity, does it seem strange to you at all that someone my age is partnered with Noel-sensei? I mean, you're a student and teacher, right? Noel-sensei's a bit young for a teacher, but she's still 25. What? That makes two dramatic reactions. I'm used to seeing Senpai take basically anything I say in stride, but it seems my comment has left her almost aggressively surprised. Senpai. Really? 25 years old? I appreciate that an undercover mission calls for a disguise, but Sister Noelle... Crap, I feel like digging any deeper on this subject is going to land me in trouble. I might have to start watching my back around Noelle-sensei. Ciel-senpai's looking at me with a pretty serious expression on her face. Maybe I better ask another question to change the subject. And what that cathedral thing was, I guess the cathedral is the next thing we should ask about. Might as well take the opportunity to go on a bit of a tangent. During last night's confrontation with Arquaid, there was a word that caught my attention. I'm curious about why Ciel focused on Noelle's age. I don't know. I feel like Noelle's she's probably not immortal, but there's something about her that maybe in regards to her age that she's trying to keep secret. I don't know. I'll see what I can learn from her about that cathedral. Just out of curiosity, what exactly was that cathedral you tried to trap Arquaid in? It's the same thing you used to contain Vlav, right? Is it special in some way? Like it's your ultimate move or something? Well, it's true the thing I used against Arquaid and the thing I used against Vlav are one and the same, and that it's a special kind of magecraft, but there's something embarrassing about hearing it called my ultimate move. You're making me blush. I see. I feel like I'm getting the hang of how to put Senpai in a good mood. Come on, what's wrong with calling it an ultimate move? It's cool, and I mean it fits your style, you know? Nobody else can turn heads quite like that. As far as I could tell, it looked like that move was a Ciel-senpai original, am I right? I mean, something tells me there's no way Noelle-sensei would have been able to pull it off. I get the sense that you're the cream of the crop among executors, Senpai. If Arquaid has acknowledged you as her enemy, you must basically be the best vampire hunter in the whole church, right? Well, I wouldn't go that far. I've simply specialized in taking down vampires. There are many others who are just as distinguished. I still have a long way to go. Andre-san, for example, is a really eccentric individual. Anyway, you wanted to know about the cathedral. It's a phase transition style isolation type barrier that was developed to seal rank 9 dead apostles. It was originally possessed by an ancestor who represented a kingdom and has a maximum diameter of 30 kilometers. It used to be capable of completely cutting off everything within its walls from the outside world, but unfortunately when I use it, I can't manage something so impressive. Mine can only be set to seal a single target, or a single type of target. It isn't quite what it used to be, considering it was capable of preserving an entire kingdom. Basically, it's become more of a conceptual barrier. Though this doesn't entirely make up for that loss, my version of the cathedral does possess functionality not present in the original recording. It's the spatial distortion that I used against Vlav. From the outside, it probably looked like a cube that was only a couple dozen meters on each side, but I configured it with an internal diameter of 10 kilometers. In short, I can, to some degree, freely alter its internal and external size with respect to each other. So I guess the look from the outside of it can be deceiving, like it could be much bigger on the inside. If used properly, it can single-handedly isolate a whole host of dead apostles. You could definitely call it one of my trump cards. That said, one shouldn't rely on it too heavily. You need to surround a target with black keys before you can use it to trap them, and since the cathedral is greater magecraft, it can't be used repeatedly in quick succession. You can think of normal magecraft as being ordinary tap water that you can pour for free, and greater magecraft is wine that comes in a bottle. With one bottle of wine, I can only activate the cathedral twice. I did it once for Vlav, and a second time for her. At this point, the vessel I used to cast it is empty. The limited magical energy, the wine, can't be replenished as easily as ordinary magical energy, the water. Because of that, if at any point another dead apostle like Vlav appears to cause chaos, I won't be able to contain the destruction, so be on your guard, Tono-kun. Well, at least I understood a bit about how she can't use the cathedral again. Senpai mentioned that it would be a problem if another dead apostle appeared, but Vlav has already been defeated, and apparently Roa has been too. She's probably just worrying over nothing. Now then. Senpai's brightened up considerably, so this seems like a good time to change the topic. I ask what the black keys are, timidly broach the topic of Arquaid. Ask her about the black keys, she'll just go on about that forever. She's looking pretty self-satisfied right about now, so I reckon I can get an explanation out of her. I'll try asking about those weapons of hers, the black keys. If I may sate my curiosity one more time. What were those weapons you were throwing around left and right, Ciel-senpai? Oh no. So they caught your attention, did they? You have a discerning eye, Tono-kun. Ultimate moves have their place, but in actual combat, the most important factor is still the fundamentals. Listen closely. I, often described as an expert on black keys, will grace you with an explanation. Oh no, I'm afraid. How long is this gonna take? Her face has gone so far past being smug that it's wrapped back around to serious again. It all began around 300 AD. It was in that era that the dead apostles of Europe were at their most rampant. Dead apostles are heretics, cursed with immortality. The church's mission was to revert their bodies back to being human, or more accurately, to being corpses, and as such, return them to dust. By reciting the good word of the Lord, any deceased that hear it will know his love, and disappear from the surface of this earth. While they may resemble blades, they are actually gospels, sacraments of the church created with the lament for the dead, litanies, as their basis. If I had to transpose it to a Japanese context, maybe, yes, think of it like a sacred sutra. Now then, why do those words take on the shape of a blade? Why are they named after keys? To answer these questions, I must recount the history of the long conflict fought between executors and dead apostles. Oh my god. We're really getting a history lesson just for her to explain what the damn black keys are? One cannot expect a normal weapon to prove lethal against a dead apostle. Wounds are something they can restore through blood. Simply hacking away at them won't be enough to kill them. Executors, on the other hand, while admittedly capable of handling more strain than an ordinary person, are still human. If it comes down to a fight, they'll be overwhelmed by the difference in tenacity. Indeed, the only effective strategy against a dead apostle is to attack their whole being, rather than just a single part of them, essentially, to crush them with overwhelming firepower. However, back then there were no weapons with enough firepower to obliterate a dead apostle in one hit. The most effective method yet discovered was to trap them inside a building or a forest, set fire to the entire thing, and let it burn until they'd exhausted all their blood. However, the church would have gone under if they had been forced to do this each and every time. And so, a presbyter who was the most preeminent swordsman of their day came up with a weapon that could be produced in large quantities, that was easy to carry, produced an immediate effect, and was able to minimize collateral damage. This marked the birth of the Black Keys, the first scriptural weapon. Instead of applying anti-heresy properties to weapons by inscribing gospels onto them, this groundbreaking idea entailed turning the scripture itself into a weapon that would serve a potent toxin against heretics. For creatures such as dead apostles who have completely renounced their humanity, words alone will never suffice to defeat them. This is how I feel listening to her lecture. This is because their souls have already lost the ability to understand the meaning of those words. Human logic can only be understood by humans. The words of the Lord will not reach those who have turned into dead apostles. Accordingly, we engrave the Gospels not into their souls, but their physical bodies, rewriting them in accordance with the correct rules. Though their corrupted souls cannot be saved, the Gospels are able to at least revert their bodies back to being human. It's like inserting a key into the door to the nothingness called undeath, and turning it. Any part of a dead apostle that is struck by a scriptural weapon will remember the body it used to be and perish. What I've just described is the basic mechanism behind all scriptural weapons. The Black Keys were the first of these weapons created in that era. The part that looks like a hilt is actually the cutout page of a manuscript. Executors use their own magical energy, prayer power, to turn them into handles for carrying around. During combat, we fill the handle with magic prayers, at which point it shifts into automatic baptism mode. It just so happens that the baptism portion of it resembles a blade. Around the 9th century, the Black Key settled into its current form, and was widely used, beloved as the greatest scriptural weapon of all. Many throwing techniques were developed, such as shadow sewing, time skipping, the plating effect, the cremation rite, the burial rite, and the conclave, along with many other variations. However, much like the bow and arrow, it's an inconsistent weapon in the sense that its effectiveness differs depending on the user's skill and magical energy levels. Oh my god. Hold on, we're calling it magical energy now? It's fine, I can't be bothered anymore. The Holy Church is at loggerheads with the Mages Association, so they're sticklers about the terminology, but it really doesn't matter. Oh no! As weapons, black keys are easy to obtain but difficult to use. It takes 10 years of training to be able to throw them competently, and their intentionally oversimplified design meant there was no hope of further developing their power. As the years went by, they became increasingly inadequate in the face of the ever-strengthening dead apostles. As civilization developed and the mass production of guns became widespread, the number of black key users decreased. Their popularity briefly recovered with the emergence of the Gutenberg press in 1450, but they couldn't compete with the convenience of firearms. Black keys went from being go-to weapons to an afterthought, a fashion accessory for those wishing to cultivate their image. Since then, black keys have become an enthusiast's weapon in the church, something only pious believers would willingly employ. So does that make you a pious believer? However, any inadequacies are due to the user's inexperience. I remain convinced that the black keys remain an optimal solution, capable of serving as part of the conclusive armaments proposed by Grand Fatima. I mean, with enough magical energy, you can make as many as you want, and you can carry them anywhere. You can even breeze right through those pesky immigration checks. Wait, what? They don't need maintenance either, unlike 7. To an executor with enough physical prowess, willpower, and magical energy, black keys represent limitless possibilities. Well, after that, maybe now we can ask her about Arcade. She seems to have worn herself out talking about fucking black keys. Okay. Isn't it about time now? Style? What's that about? I'm almost like curious as to like ask about, I don't know what that is. What does that mean, style? Okay. Well, I guess we'll find out what that means. Style. What? Excuse me? Sorry, my curiosity got the better of me. Thank you very much. That was very enlightening. We've covered ultimate moves and normal moves, but there's one more thing I'm dying to know. Senpai, behind you, a black insect. Senpai frantically leaps to her feet, not doubting for a second that there really is a black insect crawling up behind her. This way I can admire her figure. Her underclassman simply admires the view from this vantage point on the floor. So that's just Shiki being a perv. Sorry, I must have been seeing things. I'll pick up where I left off though, Senpai, so just stay where you are. Okay? While I didn't exactly need to see her from this angle, I decided to have her stand so that I could confirm something. Senpai, you wear different outfits when you fight, right? You've got your nun's habit, as well as that armor you used against Vlav. So, how do you choose which ones to use? I'm no expert, but if I had to guess, they affect how you fight, right? So you meant my style of clothing? I guess you could say that one of them is for investigation, and the other is for eradication. The habit is my general purpose outfit. I guess it's like a compromise between executor and nun. My main role as an executor is to perform inquisitions, but I also protect and tend to victims, rescue people in distress, coordinate with other executors, and perform all sorts of other duties. In short, I'm a jack of all trades. When I'm performing these other duties, I don't bring any large weapons with me. They just get in the way, and might intimidate the victims I'm trying to help. I said a moment ago that black keys are outstanding weapons, and part of the reason why is the fact that they complement this outfit perfectly. When they're in their hilt form, I can slip them under my habit and nobody will even notice they're there. I see. When she's wearing her nun's outfit, her role is really more that of a policewoman. It's not her primary combat outfit. That explains why she was on the defensive the whole time she was fighting Arcade the other night. Honestly, she deserves some serious credit for taking her on even though she didn't have the right equipment. I have to say though, I really love those high-laced boots. That outfit isn't just cute, it's cool, dignified, and suits you to a T. Is that so? Well, it's basically just a uniform, but, thank you. No, I'm the one who should be thanking you. Please convey my gratitude to the higher-ups of the church, too. The armament I used in the fight against Vlav is tailored toward eradication. I only use it when there's no chance of bystanders witnessing the battle, and my target is a vile creature that is already beyond salvation. That being said, by the time you helped me up, it had already been partially destroyed. That armor was supposed to be impregnable so long as I still had magical energy, but unfortunately it seems it couldn't keep up in the face of Lob's extreme cold and massive lance. The outfit you saw me in back then was actually the undergarments. The outer armor had already been stripped away. Virgin Pain is currently with 7 undergoing repairs, so I won't be able to use it again for a while. Ah, so those were undergarments. That explains why they seemed so skimpy. So if all that's left are the undergarments, wouldn't that make the nun's habit a more robust defense? Oh no, not at all. It may look insubstantial, but it's still far sturdier than the habit. In a sense, those undergarments are actually the true heart of Virgin Pain. The armored outer shell may have been broken, but the inner belief remains unsullied. It could probably even still withstand a direct hit from Arcwade's claws. And how strong are Arcwade's claws? I'd say they'd pack about the same punch as a tank shell. Jesus. Slash resistance, fire resistance, poison resistance, shock resistance, arcane resistance. With just one rare piece of equipment, it's possible to dive right into even the most extreme of conditions. I get it. It's that revealing because it's a rare item. Yes, that's exactly what... Is that really the part that drew your attention, Todo-kun? Well, of course it is. It's the perfect marriage of style and beauty. You should be more aware of how attractive you are, Senpai. Enough with all this talk about style. Please, ask about something more serious, Tono-kun. Well, that's the only thing that's left. Well, I can't just put it off indefinitely. It's time to confront the elephant in the room. I'll get to the point. Well, it's about Arcwade. Senpai's expression clouds over. As I feared, this isn't going to be an easy topic to discuss. Still, I have to clear things up. It's precisely because Ciel Senpai is precious to me that I have to clarify where I stand in regards to Arcwade. Please just hear me out without getting angry. Senpai, you've warned me over and over again to stop, but at the end of the day, I can't see Arcwade as an enemy, or as a vampire. Regardless of her motives, you can't deny that she protected the city. That's why I feel a shiver run down my spine. It's like we're just rehashing what happened between us here yesterday. Senpai is sincerely upset. Except, it's a different kind of sincerity to yesterday. I get the feeling that she's trying to test my conviction. That's why. I want you to cooperate with Arcwade. You share the same objective, so I don't see why you two have to be at each other's throats. Actually, let me rephrase that. Please don't fight. You're birds of a feather. There's a lot I could have said, but I've condensed it down to this. Purging the remaining vampires nesting in this city will require both Ciel Senpai and Arcwade's strength. If the two of them joined forces, everything would be taken care of much quicker. Senpai sighs deeply. Absolutely not. A smile accompanies her blunt refusal. No, why not? That should be obvious. Tono-kun, did you seriously not realize that she came this close to killing you last night? Even if we ignore that, hunting vampires means regularly dicing with death. There's no way I could involve you in something so dangerous. Ugh. Whoops, I didn't mean to say that out loud, but I was so stunned by Ciel Senpai's words that it just sort of slipped out. Regardless, this time, I think Senpai's in the wrong. I'm pretty offended to hear her talk about involving me after everything that's already happened. Sure, from her point of view, my conviction up to this point must seem as soft and yielding as a curry bun, but despite being an amateur, I still showed up ready to put my life on the line. I've considered myself well and truly involved for a while now. If there was a way out for me, I'd have already run for the hills after what happened at the hotel. Yet despite that, Senpai still thinks of me like one more civilian that needs to be protected. That makes me happy, sure, but sad at the same time. Can you elaborate on what you mean by Also, why do you look like you're about to cry? Because I am about to cry. It's like you're making fun of me. I feel like you've sent me flying into space with a single flick of your finger. Huh? No, wait, that wasn't my intention at all. Do you really mean that? I really do. Look, you can't go saying you won't involve me at this point. Senpai, I've come this far because I had the conviction to do so. I've been through a bunch of near-death experiences, and I'm well aware that the path that lies ahead will be just as dangerous. Even knowing that, I've still decided I'm going to hunt vampires, so if nothing else, I can at least protect myself. Actually, even if I can't protect myself, I still won't have any regrets, because... Because what? Because if I don't, I won't be able to be with you, Senpai. From now on, I want to spend as much time as I can by your side. I want to be someone you can rely on. I end up giving voice to my true feelings, ones that not even I myself was aware of. Still, I get it now. If that's the way I feel, it all makes sense. I didn't stick around in the world of vampires just for the sake of this city. If I've been able to resist the urge to run away all this time because I wanted to be with her. Jeez, I really will have second thoughts if you keep saying things like that. And more pertinently, what on earth is your reasoning for saying that you can't protect yourself? Your reflexes are excellent, and you also have your eyes. Having anemia may be a bit of a handicap, but your overall athletic ability seems rather respectable. If you'd only pay a little more attention to your own safety, I wouldn't have to sit here scolding you over trivialities. Senpai shrugs her shoulders as she delivers this surprising opinion. Huh? You really think so? I'm so taken aback that I automatically try and clarify what she said. I do. Remember how you stripped down back when you were staying at my place? When I saw your lean and toned physique, I couldn't help but think that you have a rather elegant body. Stripped? I can't say I remember doing that. Oh, did you forget? You changed in the kitchen before taking a bath, didn't you? Oh yeah, I guess I did. Still, that comes as quite a shock. I never would have imagined you were the type to peek at someone while they were changing, Senpai. No, that was, a force majeure. I just happened to catch a glimpse through a gap, and I was just a teeny tiny bit curious, so I thought, well, why not? Senpai's frantically making excuses, but her face has gone beet red. It seems like that's brought up memories of what she saw back then. Well, I'll just put that aside for now. Anyway, you won't have any objections so long as I make sure to look after myself, right? Even if I go vampire hunting with you, or help out Arcade. If the alternative is leaving you to your own devices, I'd rather you be by my side. Senpai! However, you helping out Arcade is the one thing I cannot allow. If you're going to be involved, then let me give you some advice. No, let me give you a warning. As things stand, the most dangerous creature in this city is her. Not just because she's a vampire either. The way she's behaving right now is utterly unprecedented. She's like a bomb that could go off in your face if mishandled. She's like a bomb? I mean, it is impossible to predict what that lunatic will do next. So that's honestly not an unreasonable description of her, but she's not exactly dangerous, right? She doesn't do anything without a good reason to, and the only thing she's done with her powers is defeat other vampires. I wouldn't be so sure. Right now, her actions are completely driven by her emotions. Up to this point, she's always followed her code as a true ancestor, but now she's on the verge of breaking that pact. She's essentially an innocent child. Now, imagine how terrifying it would be if the first toy that child got her hands on was the sun. I think that should tell you how dangerous the present situation is. Her tone is indifferent, but it's clear from the look in her eyes that she's not taking this lightly. What Senpai's saying is this: vampires are now the last thing the people in the city need to worry about. Instead, they need to pray that this child leaves without letting the sun drop from her hands. No way. You're exaggerating, Senpai. Besides, aren't you the one who picked a fight with her? If you played nice, she wouldn't have flown off the handle like that. That may be so, but it's not like I act without thinking. I held myself back all week. It's just I could restrain myself when I was watching from afar, but when I saw her right in front of me, I couldn't resist. And so you lost your cool and fought her, huh? I'm sorry. I feel terrible about it now. Senpai curls up in shame. I know I said that she was exaggerating, but I can still appreciate just how plausible that hypothetical of hers was. Arcade definitely was acting strangely last night. I made her angry too, so maybe I'd better step back and give her some time to cool off a bit. Very well. You and Arcade seem to be natural enemies, so I'll stop asking the two of you to try and get along. I resist the urge to quip that birds of a feather seemingly don't flock together. I also won't initiate any contact with Arcade either, not until she's calmed down first at any rate. In exchange, you'll search for vampires with me. How about it, senpai? Huh? Yes, that's... Huh? Did you just say that you aren't going to search for vampires with me, but that I'm going to search for them with you? It's basically the same thing, so don't overthink it. It's just a matter of how I perceive it. Alright, it took some time getting there, but it looks like we're finally in agreement. From this point on, I can work together with Ciel-senpai with a clean conscience. Even if this time we have together won't last, being able to stand by her side guilt-free is more than I could ask for. With that matter taken care of, we settle into our more familiar tea break routine. We talk about inconsequential things while sipping on the tea senpai served. About class, about the city, about our hobbies. It's peacefully mundane conversation over the course of which the word vampire doesn't even come up once. The bell rings, signaling the end of 5th period. They say that time flies when you're having fun, but I can't believe it's already been this long. We probably shouldn't also skip 6th period, huh? I get up off my floor cushion. As I put my left foot forward on my way to carry the teacups back to the kitchen, I'm struck by an unexpected, no, a familiar feeling. My vision flickers in and out. My consciousness and vision bleed together like two woodblock prints haphazardly stamped over each other on the same page, before being scrunched up into a ball and tossed into a corner of my skull. The feeling fades from my limbs, and I start hurtling toward the ground as my legs give out from under me. I slip into the sort of coma I've experienced far more often than I'd like, but that I can never get used to. Tono-kun, watch out! Are you feeling okay? Senpai catches me just before I completely collapse to the tatami, and the sound of her voice helps me cling to consciousness. Sorry, I got a little dizzy. Don't worry about it though, it's just my anemia flaring up. It'll go away again if I rest for a bit. I will worry about it. Please don't try and put on a brave face when you're clearly sick. I'll go brew some invigorating tea, so you just lie right there, okay? And don't even think about trying to get up, you hear me? Senpai hurries over to the kitchen. It seems like trying to act tough will only worry her. I don't really want to lie down on the floor though. I'd feel pathetic if I did that in front of Senpai. Instead, I lean my back against the wall and slowly slump into a seated position. Phew. Now that I'm sitting comfortably, the dizziness has lessened slightly. I'm glad I didn't pass out. If that were the worst of it, then it shouldn't be long before I feel better. As I'm resting against the wall, I hear the bell ring again. It seems like the 10-minute break between classes is already over. Looks like we'll miss 6th period after all, huh? I didn't even notice Ciel-senpai sidle up next to me. She peers at me as though trying to gauge how healthy I look. I brewed some ginger milk tea that's chock full of honey. I'm afraid it's in a teacup. I hope you don't mind. Thank you very much. I thank Senpai and take the proffered teacup. It's hot. I'd honestly been craving some cold water instead, but as soon as I take a sip... Senpai, this is amazing! Just one mouthful was enough to jolt me awake. Of course, this recipe was handed down to me by my father. It's a surefire remedy for when you're not feeling well. Senpai puffs out her chest as though she'd come up with it herself. The pungent, zesty smell of the ginger, the smooth mouthful of the milk, and the sweetness of the honey are a match made in heaven. I drink the entire cup without even realizing it, after which all the strength drains from my body. Not because I'm exhausted, but because I've reached a serene level of relaxation. Now that I think about it, I've been stressed out ever since this morning. I guess I relaxed a bit after reconciling with Senpai, and that must have given the anemia a chance to swoop in and get me. The warm tea has helped me alleviate my symptoms, and I feel like I've been enveloped by a gentle wariness. I know that this is scandalous to suggest as your upperclassman, but why don't we just hang out here for the rest of the day? You can afford to miss a couple of classes, right? Yeah, probably. I'm not living on the edge like Arihiko. Inui-kun must be quite the character for you to talk about him like that. I'm a little envious. Yeah, did you know Arihiko doesn't know who you are now, Ciel? Out of concern for my health, Senpai doesn't try to force a conversation. She simply sits by my side, silently drinking tea, ready to take care of me if I suddenly start feeling unwell. Time ticks by, but the silence isn't oppressive. On the contrary, it feels pleasant. Senpai and I just stay like this, not touching but still feeling our care for each other, all throughout 6th period. By the way, Tono-kun, we don't have anything to do, so how about a game of Shiratori? Absolutely not! Where the hell did that idea come from? Also, way to spoil the mood. And why Shiratori of all things? Senpai, do you really want to see me cry that badly? I do, Tono-kun. You strike me as the sort of person who's always too busy worrying about others to cry. Where'd you get that idea? I almost started crying during our conversation earlier. I want to play it even less when you ask me with that look on your face. I refuse to play Shiratori. If you don't have anything better to do, then why don't you bring me another cup of that tea from earlier? What a shame. Very well, I'll keep on plotting how to exploit your weak points while I prepare you a second cup of ginger milk tea. Jeez, you're weirdly childish in some ways, or maybe just mean-spirited. I tilt my head back, let out a sigh, and close my eyes. Still, her teasing was kinda fun. I never thought I'd get the opportunity to banter with Ciel-senpai like this. Tono-kun, did you fall asleep? I'm awake. I'm just resting my eyes for a second. I see. In that case, just ignore me and make yourself comfortable. I'll take her up on that offer and lie down for a bit. I allow my back to slowly slide down the wall I'd been resting against, until I'm sprawled flat against the tatami floor. I must have been lying here for about 10 minutes or so now. At this rate, I actually will fall asleep, so before I do, I repeat the question I asked earlier. So, why Shiratori? You seem like you're always forcing yourself to stay strong, so I wanted to hear you stop and complain for a change. You're even doing it right now, aren't you? Even though you're exhausted, you won't allow yourself to relax. You find falling asleep scary. You probably have for the past 7 years. Because you understand that if you close your eyes, there's no guarantee you'll ever open them again. That's pretty morbid. That definitely makes me not want to close my eyes now. In my head, I know she's right. That I felt that way is something I never spoke of, never confided to anyone about, and hoped that nobody would ever notice. I said that vampires were frightening, that fighting to the death was frightening, but those are all transient fears, nothing more. To me, it is these mundane days that entail a constant fear. The fear that my precious time on this earth won't last until tomorrow. Nothing is more painful than having to accept that possibility each night before I go to sleep. Hey now, that's not true at all. I'm pretty healthy these days. I only get anemic every once in a while. The only thing that scares me is vampires. But I can't let myself put that fear into words. Fear leads to jealousy and hatred. I have to suppress the part of me that fears the passage of each and every day. Because when it comes right down to it, I'm alive. I don't want to let the eyes through which I see the world cloud its beauty. I want to accept the fact that I'm alive, and the wonders life entails as something to be celebrated. Really now? Well, if you say so, then I'll leave it at that. Yes, I should have known. I'm sorry for saying something so silly. That strength is exactly what I admired about you in the first place. I feel something warm brush against my forehead. Senpai is using her hand to take my temperature. That's why I'll stand by your side. Senpai? If there ever comes a time when you're unable to bear that fear, I'll be there for you. There isn't much I can do, but I can at least hold your hand tightly. I let out a soft sigh, blinded by the light streaming in. I'm incredibly reassured by her words, and I think I've finally begun to understand my own feelings. I want her to be happy. I don't feel the same way about Senpai as I do about Arcade. When I think about Senpai, the emotions I feel are closer to camaraderie or gratitude. It's the sort of love that wishes for the other's happiness. Is that right? Alright, If that time ever comes, I'll be counting on you, senpai. I banish the insecurities that nearly escaped my lips and reply with a feigned confidence in my voice. I pick myself up from my semi-supine position and take a sip of the tea senpai prepared for me. Unfortunately, it's gone a little cold. By the way, senpai, as a little taste of your own medicine. Yes? I've been wondering what it is that makes you tick. Now that I think about it, I realize that I don't really know anything about you. Can you tell me a little bit about your life up until this point? Or how you ended up fighting vampires? Or something along those lines? You want to hear about me? I'd really rather not talk about myself. I mean, it'd make for a very boring conversation. I'm sure you'd only end up disappointed. Don't worry about that. Please tell me whatever it is that you're comfortable saying. I don't know if I'll be able to contain my curiosity if you don't. Is that so? Well, if you really insist, I will, but it'll be boring, okay? Free time is hard to come by. Are you sure this is how you want to spend it? I certainly am. I motion for her to proceed. I want to know more about her, even if that means the conversation might start to get a little heavy. Well, having said all that, my past really isn't all that remarkable. I was born in a provincial town somewhere in France. My father was a baker, and my mother was Japanese. I joined the church at the age of 12, and ever since then, it's been my job to exterminate dead apostles. Funnily enough, this is actually the first time I've ever infiltrated a school on a reconnaissance mission like this. It's a pretty different environment to what I'm used to, so it took me a while to get my bearings. This is your first time? Right, of course it is. You don't really need to go to school if you've already got a job fighting vampires. Huh? Wait, isn't that kind of weird? Indeed, this is a special case. As for why I became an executor, it's because I already possessed a talent that made me a perfect fit for the job. It would have been a waste not to make use of the fact that I have an undying body. Having an undying body counts as a talent? Well, I guess I can't really argue that it isn't. Was your body already like that when you were born, senpai? No, I'm just like you, Tono-kun. I wasn't born with this ability either. I'm just a human who almost died once, or rather, who did die once, but then came back to life. After that, well, I guess you developed a bad habit of always coming back to life. What? Senpai has a wry smile on her face. Was that supposed to be a joke? It doesn't seem like a laughing matter to me at all. What's that supposed to mean? You said you died once. What, was that because, you know... Yes, I was killed by a vampire, but as you know, regardless of what happens to me, my body will always return to its original state. So I came back to life somehow. You came back to life? People don't normally come back to life after they've been killed. As I've said, I wasn't exactly normal. You've seen as much with your own eyes, haven't you? It's true that I've had plenty of chances to notice that Senpai has an undying body. Back when she was fighting against Vlad, it wasn't totally obvious. But what she showed me after her fight with Arcwade was something even more impossible than my eyes. But you are who you are, Senpai. It's fine if you're not normal. I love you just the way you are. You graced me with those words this afternoon too. But I don't quite understand. I find this body of mine to be repulsive. I thought it would have scared you away, Tono-kun. Look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't think I can overemphasize just how attractive I find you as a member of the opposite sex. And you look incredibly cool when you're fighting against vampires. Even now, I still can't get the image of you fighting Vlad out of my head. Despite those hellish conditions, you still managed to protect us. Why on earth would that scare me away? On the contrary, thinking back to your bravery has inspired me countless times. If I'm being honest, I didn't really want to use a frivolous word like cool to describe her. I wanted to more accurately convey just how much respect I have for her. Alas, I felt like she'd probably get embarrassed if I started talking about how much I respected her, so I held back. I think you've misunderstood, Tono-kun. I'm not brave or anything like that. I simply don't fear death. After all, I can't die. Even during that fight, I didn't feel so much as an ounce of fear. I'm just insensitive to it, that's all. Truly courageous people are the ones who continue to fight despite being afraid of death. I don't have that courage. I simply can't die. It's just this mindset that makes me so abnormal. At least in terms of lacking a fear of death, I'm probably even more of a monster than vampires are. A monster? Senpai, you... No, it's the truth. I can't die, so nothing scares me. Because I know I'll always come back to life. It doesn't matter what kind of horrors are inflicted on me, or that I inflict on other people. Nothing scares me. That's just the kind of human I am, and I want you to be sure you take that to heart. With her unusual smile on her face, Senpai tells me about herself detachedly, as though she's describing someone else. Is it her way of being jokingly self-derisive, or is that really how she sees herself? I can't tell for sure. Either way, this raises a question that I have to know the answer to. Even so, it still hurts when you get injured, right? You may not be afraid because you'll know you'll come back to life, but you still feel pain, don't you? If so, then you really are. That's nothing more than an inconvenience, a mild itch. As someone whose resurrection is guaranteed, I feel no fear. Anyone would be able to bear death if all it took was a little pain, right? Yes, anyone would be capable of the same things I am if they had a body like mine. In the events that led up to me getting this body, I committed a sin. I made a great many mistakes, and so caused a great many people to die. Afterward, I was sentenced to a punishment commensurate with the number of victims. In exchange for enduring that punishment, my sins were forgiven, and I was chosen to be an executor. The presbyter even went so far as to praise me, saying that I had the perseverance of a saint. But that isn't even close to being true. I'm not strong at all. I simply have a body that cannot die, and so my body was strong enough to withstand that punishment. If I'd had a regular body, I'd have thrown in the towel after only a day. Senpai ends the discussion on that note. Something in what she said doesn't really sit well with me, but she stated it so firmly that I'm hesitant to bring it up again. Anyone would be able to bear death if all it took was a little pain. Even so, those twisted words have embedded themselves in my mind and won't come free. The setting sun casts a red glow over the tea ceremony room. I ended up spending the entire afternoon here with Senpai. Well then, I guess we're a team from now on, Tono-kun. Let's do our best to bring this incident to a close. Would you like to head home for a little while first? We'll be able to search for the dead more efficiently if we start after nightfall. Senpai pipes up while clearing away the teacups. It's a pretty reasonable suggestion, but I'm still surprised to hear it coming from her. Are you sure you're okay with me coming along? Of course, weren't you the one who said you'd help me out, Tono-kun? It'd be dangerous to leave you alone anyway. Instead, I'll be sure to keep a close eye on you. I'm your upperclassman in this context too. Once we get into it, I'll be sure to drill you on the ABCs of vampire hunting. Ciel Senpai puffs out her chest, looking quite pleased with herself. Her enthusiasm is very reassuring. Or at least, it should have been reassuring. That being said, the number of the dead left in the city is dwindling, so everything will probably be over before those ABCs sink into your head. At this rate, they'll probably all be gone in another week or so. 1 week? Really? That soon? Yes, I'd say that's about right based on my experience. Though if you really wanted to, we could probably bring that in by a day or two. 1 week. Arcwade never mentioned anything about how this vampire business would all end. I'd vaguely assumed that it would just go on forever, but now she's saying it'll all be resolved in just 1 more week? Tono-kun, is something the matter? You're frowning. You're not about to say you want it done today or something equally outrageous, are you? No, I wouldn't suggest anything crazy like that. I know that it takes slow, methodical investigation to smoke out the dead that have gone into hiding. It's just that, you know. If we kill all the vampires hiding in the city, then that means your job will be over, Senpai. And when that happens, you'll... A future I'd rather not envision flashes before my eyes, and I turn away from Senpai. Even though I knew it was coming, having it spelled out like this feels so painful that I... Will you move on to the next city right away, Senpai? I pose a question better left unasked. Where did you get that idea, Tono-kun? I won't be finished with my work just because all the dead have been exterminated. I'm going to stay in the city until I defeat Roa. I can't very well abandon my duties while the root of the problem still exists now, can I? Huh? My blood runs cold as I realize that we're not on the same page. Did she just say she'll stick around until she defeats Roa? Time out, senpai. That Roa guy, I'm pretty sure he's already gone. Come again? Well, I mean, Arcade said she'd taken care of him. Oh god. All the warmth is drained from the room. Senpai's gaze cuts right through me. The look in her eyes isn't just surprise, it's outright hostility. I've never seen her look this tense before. And that's when I realize I have, with my own two hands, just lowered the curtain on the final act. Senpai, Roa is already dead. I have no doubt that she was telling the truth. I don't believe what Arcade is saying. Do you think she's lying? No, I don't think she's smart enough to pull that off. I meant more that I won't believe it until I've seen it with my own eyes. Tono-kun, did she mention anything else? Did she say anything else? Oh yeah, she said that Roa's coffin was actually right underneath the school. I thought she was just pulling my leg. Senpai? I need to go verify this. I'd appreciate it if you stayed put, Tono-kun. Senpai puts her hand on the door to leave. She seems to be filled with a grim determination. I can't just stand here doing nothing. I can't let her go alone. I'm going with her. I'll just be a burden. I'll wait here. Shouldn't we tell Noelle? No, we should not tell Noelle, Sensei. Yeah, we're probably just gonna have to go with her. I don't want to let Senpai go off on her own while she's this tense. Besides, we're talking about Roa's coffin here, a vampire's resting place. I'm well within my rights to accompany her. Wait, I'm coming with you. You just said you were okay with me helping you, right, Senpai? Senpai stops in her tracks. Will she take me with her, or will she refuse, and in doing so relieve me of all responsibility? I thought she'd at least hesitate, but her answer is instantaneous. Do you swear that you will remain calm and keep your opinions to yourself? I swear, I won't get in your way, Senpai. Very well, come along then, Tono-kun. I will guarantee your safety, provided you follow my instructions. Her order doesn't leave any room for argument. I swallow nervously and nod in response, provided I follow her instructions, meaning that she'll protect me with all her strength if I do, but also that she won't hesitate to cast me aside if I don't. It's a callous way of doing things, but I can't fault her for it. All she's doing is implicitly telling me just how dangerous the place we're heading is. I'm standing in front of a concrete walled drainage canal that's been wedged into a gap in the residential district. Ciel Senpai led the way over to this unremarkable corner of the city, one which a lot of students happen to pass through on their way to school. Senpai, are we really going inside that sewer? Indeed we are, through that access tunnel in fact. Japan's sewers have been modernized, so you won't get wet unless you fall in the canal. That being said, watch your back and be aware of your surroundings. It'll be dark inside, so you'll need to rely on your ears instead of your eyes. As soon as she's done talking, Senpai jumps off the bridge and lands in the canal below. I'll fall behind if I just stand around dithering. I muster up some courage, climb over the fence, and use the ladder built into the wall to climb down into the canal. There's still some daylight left, but it won't reach us in here, and the sun's already begun to set anyway. Make sure that you stick close to me. If you sense anything out of the ordinary, please give me a tap on the back or say so out loud. Got it, but Senpai, what about weapons? I've got my knife, but... No need to worry, I always have an appropriate number of black keys at the ready. Our current mission is for reconnaissance purposes only. If we encounter Roa's coffin, we will immediately withdraw and make any necessary preparations. The real battle will come later. Please note that I also do not plan on using any lights once inside. Makes sense. They'd only alert any vampires in there to our presence. The flashlight on my phone's out too, I take it. But if we can't use any lights, how do you expect to look around once inside? I have some degree of night vision. You needn't worry about me. I'll be leading the way once we're inside the sewers, so please take hold of my hand. I take her outstretched left hand in my right. I wonder if she's nervous. Senpai's movements are clumsy as she wraps the fingers of her hand around mine. Let's go. It will probably take about 20 minutes to get from here to the tunnels that run underneath the school. Try to focus on the task at hand as we make our way there. Focus on the task at hand. I guess she means don't start getting cold feet now. Of course, I nod. Hand in hand with Senpai, I step forward into the impenetrable darkness. The inside of the sewer is different from what I expected. Paths have been built into both sides of the 2-meter wide canal running down the middle, so it's actually not that difficult to make our way through. This place has raw sewage flowing through it, so I'd expected it to reek down here, but it's really not all that bad. Occasionally, I'll feel something squish unpleasantly under my foot when I take a step, but there aren't any rats scurrying around down here at least. As Ciel Senpai said, these sewers are well-maintained public infrastructure. They're a totally different beast to what we found beneath the department store. It isn't that filth down here that's got me on edge anyway, but the ceaseless trickling sound of water, the echoing of our shoes, and the impenetrable darkness ahead. Senpai said it'd take about 20 minutes to get beneath our school. Right now, ours are the only footsteps that can be heard. Senpai is walking a little slower than usual, perhaps out of consideration for me. I don't want to distract her with idle chatter, so I just focus on Senpai's back. I feel like it's got to be more than 20 minutes since we came in here. She hasn't tried to signal anything to me, and I haven't noticed anything even remotely out of the ordinary. Without even realizing it, I tighten my hold on her hand. Stop. I'm switching on the light now. Senpai lets go of my hand and shines her flashlight across the wall. The light reveals that a jagged hole has been punched right through it, and that there seems to be a cave on the other side. This is Arquade's handiwork, no doubt. Nobody else would be brainless enough to do something like this down here. Yeah, that checks out. I nod in agreement. To Arquade, this would constitute a meticulous and detailed investigation. Is that a room back there? So it appears. There was nothing shown here on the map of the sewers, however. As for traps, I think we're clear. Let's go. Watch your step. It seems Senpai has some way of knowing it's safe without even setting foot inside. We enter, picking our way across the shattered lumps of concrete. Inside is a small cave. The floor is paved with stone, and the walls are rough-hewn rock. There's a faint light shining down from the ceiling. I've seen something like this before. It looks exactly like that chamber deep beneath the department store. In which case... Sure enough, there it is. In the center of the cave, right beneath where the light is filtering down from above, is a 2-meter-long altar. On top of it is a coffin made of stone, a lid of which someone seems to have ripped off. This can't be! Senpai has walked over to the coffin. I follow her to see what's inside. As expected, inside the stone coffin lies a single dead body. I say dead body, but really all that remains are enough bones to suggest that something human-shaped once lay here. Its ribs are the only vaguely recognizable thing left. Its heart was most likely ripped out in a single blow. So this is the fate of the vampire called Roa. Killed by Arquade, these scraps are all that remain of the vampire who had infiltrated this city. This can't... Senpai? Senpai is acting strange. Roa's dead. It doesn't really matter how it happened. That seems like the sort of thing she should be happy about, and yet she's shaking like a child that's come face to face with their own nightmares. What's wrong? You've got a real grim look on your face. Roa's already dead, isn't he? So all's well that ends well, right? I find it hard to stomach the fact that Senpai doesn't have a reason to stick around in the city anymore, but that's really only a me problem. In the grand scheme of things, this is the best thing that could have happened, and yet Senpai's leaning on the coffin to try and stop herself from collapsing. This can't be right. Roa can't be dead. If he is, then nothing makes any sense. If the body he's currently in dies, Roa reincarnates into his next host. It's impossible to kill him by ordinary means. Even so, there's a window of time where all traces of him disappear. If the reincarnation that contaminated the city died, then it should follow that all the lower-ranking dead apostles that served him would die out too. Which means that if this were really Roa's corpse, there wouldn't be any of the dead left in the city. I think back to what Arquade told me about the vampire ranks. I'm pretty sure she mentioned something along those lines. She said that the dead, vampires rank 3 and below, return to being corpses the moment their sire is defeated. But that's only the case for lower-ranked vampires, right? If they were rank 4 or above, couldn't they still carry on after Roa's left the picture? Yeah, that must be it. Take the vampires in that underground garage, for instance. They were definitely all above rank 3. Everything can still be explained, even if Roa's dead. The noose. Did you see anything? Huh? It doesn't matter whether it was on TV or the internet. Has there been any news in the past couple of days about unidentified corpses turning up? If Roa, If the sire really perished, then all of the disappearances they've been covering up should have come to light. If you're exterminating dead apostles and the city continues to be peaceful, that's actually proof that you've yet to accomplish anything. Then, you mean that corpse over there is a fake, and Roa is actually... Yes, the dead apostle Roa is still alive in the city. Oh no! Wait a minute! Is it somehow reincarnated into Arquaid? In fact, I'd imagine he's actually been in the same body this entire time. What do you think? Am I right, Tonoshiki-kun? A woman's voice echoes through the stone room. Oh no, it's Noelle! When I turn around, I see Noelle-sensei dressed in her habit, standing in the entrance we just came through. Here I was tailing Shiki-kun when all of a sudden he leads me to a place like this. So that thing's Roa's coffin, is it? Sounds like it's just an irrelevant box of bones at this point, though. The woman enters the stone room, her halberd already in hand. It's such a threatening sight that my whole body is on edge. I can't see myself calling her sensei at this point. The gruesome scene at the abandoned factory flashes before my eyes. Her blatantly fake smile, her unabashed hatred and hostility, her vile gaze, always on the lookout for an opportunity to swing her weapon down on someone. Right now, they're all trained squarely on me. I hide my knife behind my sleeve so that Noelle doesn't notice I'm holding it. Shifting my weight onto my feet, I ready myself against a surprise attack. Seeing me do this, the woman just looks at me with amusement. I have to hand it to you, Ciel-san. You managed to lure the target into an inescapable place like this. Another stellar performance as usual. Now, why don't we get started? I'll cover the exit, so killing the vampire over there is all you. Ciel-senpai flinches when Noelle calls out to her. She weakly slumps her shoulders, then slowly turns to face me, a look of pity in her eyes. Huh? My mind goes blank. I can't follow this conversation at all. I can't even begin to try to understand it. What on earth did they just say to each other? You still don't get it? Or are you just pretending not to? Well, not that it matters. We've got proof, and that true ancestor isn't going to show up this time. It's finally time for you to pay the piper. It's a shame things had to end this way, but, well, I was more or less certain this was the case, so I guess I'm not all that broken up about it. Alright, bye-bye now. Your luck has finally run out, vampire. Oh, wait a minute. He reincarnated into Shiki. What? What the hell is she talking about? I don't understand. My legs feel weak. My fingers are trembling so much that I almost dropped my hidden knife. Ciel-senpai. I reflexively call out to her, but my voice sounds like that of a sinner begging for forgiveness. Senpai awkwardly avoids meeting my gaze. It's as if she's saying that the woman spouting all this nonsense is correct. Oh, come on, how long are you going to pretend to be the victim here? Only one family in this area meets Roa's requirements for reincarnation, the Tonos. They have both a daughter and a son, but the only thing we know for a fact was the next reincarnation would be male. Therefore, by process of elimination, we know that this generation's Roa is the Tono family's eldest son, you. Do I really have to spell it out for you to get it? Don't give me that crap! I'm not a vampire, and I don't even know the first thing about this Roa guy. Her accusation is so absurd that it snaps me out of my paralysis. I mean, I feel pretty sure I'd at least notice if I were a vampire. I'm one of the people who hunts them. There's absolutely no world in which I'm on their side. Huh? Wait, have you seriously not realized it? Oh, Shiki-kun, you've really taken after Ciel-san perfectly, haven't you? Whoopsie daisy, I guess I really put my foot in it, didn't I? But, well... The woman in the habit ducks her head slightly and covers her mouth with her hand. Her back is quivering softly. She's holding her breath as though trying to contain something. An unsettling sound slips from between her closed lips. Noelle removes her hand from her mouth as though announcing she can't hold it in anymore, and turns to face me. Oh, I love it. It's just what you'd expect from Roa's reincarnation. Totally convinced you're innocent right up until the very end. Oh, it's so pathetic that I'm getting all excited. What are you laughing about? What's so goddamn funny? I tightly grasp my knife and glare at the woman. I'm Roa's reincarnation? No way, that's absolutely impossible. Where's the proof? I don't know if she's joking or what, but if she is, then she's got a sick sense of humor. Aw, you're so cute when you get all desperate. But apparently that's just how it goes, you know? They say all the people who become Roa's hosts maintain their sense of self until suddenly, they just poof, become different. Hey, isn't that right, Ciel-san? Also, did you seriously think you were normal to begin with? What about that ability of yours that lets you pick people apart with just a knife? And what about your superhuman composure? Sure, they might be vampires, but are you really going to tell me it's normal to not have any problem killing something that used to be human? That's... Red fireworks blossom behind my retinas. Isn't it about time you faced up to the facts? You're an inhuman monster that doesn't even spare a second thought about killing people. No, killing people is the only thing you're even good at. You may not have realized it yet yourself, but the truth is you're nothing more than a long-dead psychotic murderer. That's not... I want to deny it. I want to say it's not true. But now that I think about it, when did I come to accept something so freakish as these mystic eyes as an ordinary part of everyday life? You're wrong. Enough with those stupid accusations. I won't forgive much more of this, even if it's coming from you, Noelle-sensei. Oh, you don't have to forgive me. I mean, I'll never forgive you either. Nor will I let you get away. It happens in the blink of an eye. She lets her right hand dangle loose at her side, then whips it up again behind her. It's a similar motion to a baseball pitcher winding up for a sidearm throw. When her hand comes back up, it's clutching a sword handle. She swings her right arm, sending the weapon in her hand hurtling toward me. It's not like I couldn't see it coming. Noelle's throw is incredibly slow compared to Senpai's, but being the target of a weapon designed to kill vampires just doesn't feel real. I can't process how I should react. Should I dodge it? Should I parry it? Even though my thoughts are clear, I still can't decide. Because dodging it would mean accepting that I'm a target for them. And that would be crazy. It wouldn't make any sense. I'm not a vampire or anything like that, so there's no way I'd be their target. Therefore, there's no need for me to dodge anything. I stand frozen in place, fettered by my own twisted logic. The tip of her weapon makes contact with my chest. In order to prove my innocence, I hereby put an end to this life. What? So he just kills himself? Oh. Senpai? What are you doing, Ciel? That was close. At the very last moment, Senpai deflected the black key speeding toward my chest. Senpai steps in front of me, putting her face to face with Noelle. Stand down, Executor Noelle. We do not have any definitive proof that he is Roa. We are obliged to first establish whether or not Roa has truly disappeared. Huh? What are you talking about? Don't we have more than enough proof already? I mean, there isn't anyone else left in the city that could have been chosen by Roa. That's a premature conclusion. Besides, he's yet to commit any wrongdoings. I will not tolerate the murder of an innocent person. A sharp, incongruous sound echoes through the room. The woman staring vacantly at Senpai has just given herself a slap across the cheek. Even with her palm still resting on her face, the woman doesn't take her eyes off Senpai. Her cheek isn't the only thing obscured by her hand. It's spread across her whole face, her fingers messily kneading and scrunching up her skin. She's like a child that's been scared out of their wits by a nightmare, and is sobbing and pawing at their face with their hands. What the fuck did you just say? The woman squares her shoulders. Ciel-senpai just looks at her, a pained expression on her face. Innocent? Innocent? Are you out of your goddamn mind? You've always considered people guilty until proven innocent. Why the hell does he suddenly get a free pass? Clutching her halberd with both hands, the woman charges at me. I'm the only one she sees. Paying no attention to Senpai, she gives up her position in front of the exit so she can spring forward, swing her halberd down, and cleave me in two. But it doesn't connect. She slipped past Senpai only to be promptly kicked in the side and sent flying into the wall. Ciel! She props herself up, coughing violently. Her hands are empty. That kick just now snapped the handle of her halberd in two, knocking it right out of her grip. Please calm down, Executor Noel. Your actions go against our teachings. I will overlook your violent outburst just now, but I need you to... Are you protecting him? What just occurred has marked a conclusive schism between the two. I can't see her face, but even I can tell how conflicted Senpai is. To the woman across from her, Senpai's inner turmoil must be written clear across her face. What the hell? What the hell are you trying to pull? You've lost your damn marbles and you're telling me to calm down? Are you seriously telling me that you, Executor Ciel, have developed feelings for this run-of-the-mill brat? My personal feelings aren't relevant here. Even if we suppose that he really is Roa's target, if he hasn't manifested yet, we may still have a chance. There may be some way to save him before he's overwritten by Roa. There isn't. He was done for the moment he was chosen as a host. His fate is already sealed. Besides, why should we even help him in the first place? Feelings are wasted on vampires, right? That's the way it's always been, isn't it? Aren't you the one who's always said we need to just kill Roa, host and all, no matter who they were? Strength fades from Senpai's body. Up until now, she's never shown even a hint of weakness, regardless of the circumstances, but now she looks like just an ordinary girl her age. There's a good chance that Noel recognizes just how sinful a display that really is. So the guy you've fallen for gets special treatment, does he? Wow, it's so sweet I could cry. Hey, have you ever wondered that maybe both of us are idiots? Who am I kidding? The answer to that's obvious. There's only ever been one idiot here, and it's me, isn't it? With bloodshot eyes, the woman grips a black key in her hand. Her eyes aren't locked on me anymore. It's all a bunch of bullshit. Your redemption's just lies. Nothing but lies. The three black keys come soaring through the air. Ciel Senpai deflects them with a swing of her right arm. How about this? The woman is well aware just how outmatched she is. The three black keys she launched by pushing her left hand to its very limit are nothing more than a diversion. The brunt of her attack is actually the cremation rite concealed in her right. She had put her everything into this last desperate gambit, hoping to unleash the black key on me while I stood around in a daze. Huh? Except she never got a chance to carry it out, because the instant those three black keys left her hand, her right shoulder was skewered by one of Ciel Senpai's black keys. Ooh. Oh man. There's a flash of light, followed by ear-splitting screams of anguish. The black key lodged in the woman's right shoulder unleashes a jolt of electricity that rips through all the tissues in her body. The weapon, designed to subdue rather than eliminate, doesn't so much as scorch her skin even as it lays waste to the muscles that lie underneath. Unable to stay on her feet, Noel collapses to all fours and glares up at Ciel Senpai. Her eyes are clouded by anger, as well as the kind of terror felt by the weak when confronted with proof of their inadequacy. Senpai walks over to retrieve her fallen black key. Noel must have thought she was coming to deliver the finishing blow as she desperately tries to squirm away from her. She is like an insect whose legs have been plucked off, pitifully wiggling around on its back. No. She trembles with fear, her lips frantically mouthing, "Please don't kill me." Leave this place, Sister Noel. You are excused from the matter later tonight on account of your injury. Please return to the local branch to receive medical care. You will not be able to heal that arm by yourself. Once you've recovered, be sure to follow Acting Presbyter Mario's orders. She lets out a blood-curdling groan. Noel somehow manages to stand by propping herself up against the wall with her left hand, then starts to leave the cave, dragging her paralyzed leg behind her. She glares at Senpai until she's completely out of sight, her eyes wet with tears. With the departure of the unexpected intruder, the cave regains its earlier stillness. The silence is heavy. I can't get Noel-sensei's words out of my head. Senpai just stares down into the coffin, a pained expression on her face. Senpai, was what Noel-sensei said, I can't bring myself to finish that sentence. Because even if it really is just a bunch of baseless drivel, she still believed it was true. The conditions Roa has for choosing a body to reincarnate into. You may not have realized it yet yourself. I definitely do meet all the criteria. So then, does that mean... Of course it isn't true. Honestly, Tono-kun, please don't go lending any credence to that idea. What Noelle-sensei said is only a possibility, and not a very realistic one at that. Besides, Roa's dead right here, so doesn't that take care of that? But she said Roa was the eldest son of the Tono family. Indeed, and she was absolutely correct. The body lying here is without a doubt that of the eldest son of the Tono family. Huh? Wait, that mummy is the eldest son? Wait a second, what? This isn't something that happens in the near side route. That's from the far side route. Mummy, well, I suppose it is. From what I could gather, the Tono family had one additional child, an adopted child. Records show that he died 7 years ago, but his body was nowhere to be found. This is really different. I'm surprised they included this. He likely continued to live on in secret, and is the one who is active here as Roa. Yeah, that's not the case. That's only the case in the far side routes, not the near side ones, so it's a little bit, it's interesting that Natsu decided to change that up. So, this guy was the adopted son of the Tono family? I'm certain of it. He has to be, otherwise the number of bodies doesn't add up. Tono-kun, do you not have any memories of him? There should have been another child at the Tono mansion. No, I'm sorry. I don't have any memories of that. This is the first time I've heard of my father having an adopted child. Is that so? Well, the Tono family goes back a long way. It makes sense that they'd have a couple skeletons in the closet. In fact, that reminds me of a land deal in the office district which had some rather curious cash flows, all in the Tono name. It seemed to me that some of them may have been flirting with illegality. Hey, hold on a minute. Father is one thing, but Akiha isn't guilty of anything. She probably doesn't even know about that adopted child. Oh my, I'm touched. Even after what you've just learned, you're still standing up for your sister. I can see that you must be a very dependable brother. No, I have zero faith in the idea that I'm somehow reliable. Well, I'll look into that some other time. Anyway, I'm concerned about the fact that the corpses of the low-ranking dead apostles haven't turned up. Though, now that I think about it, there was that massive cave-in at the department store. Thanks to Vlov's rampage, most of the low-ranking dead apostles must have ended up buried in the rubble. I'll say it again, Tono-kun. There's no way that you are Roa. You came to school today, didn't you? Roa's a dead apostle. He can't walk around while it's light out. It seems obvious now that she said it. So, Noelle-sensei just got the wrong idea somehow? So it seems. Geez, you sure love jumping to conclusions, don't you? You're just plain old Tono-kun, a dangerous boy with slightly special eyes, but one that I simply can't get enough of. With her usual smile, Senpai tells me the one thing I wanted to hear the most. I feel the unease that had settled over my shoulders melt away. As I take a breath, I start to feel slightly anemic. I'd numbed myself to it because of all the crazy things that kept happening, but it seems I've hit the limits of what my body can take. All that's left is to dispose of this corpse. I'm going to incinerate it, so please stand back, Tono-kun. I follow Senpai's instructions. She waits for me to exit back into the sewers, then burns Roa's corpse to ashes along with the coffin in which it lay. It's a little anticlimactic to say the least. The vampire who terrorized the city for who knows how many years has finally met his end in some forgotten corner of the sewers. Of course, since he's achieved immortality through reincarnation, this doesn't mean Roa's gone for good. Nevertheless, the threat that had taken root in this city is gone. With this, the vampire incident has finally been put to rest. Or has it? The moon hangs in the sky overhead. Senpai didn't say so much as a word the whole time we were on our way back through the sewers. As I stare at her back, I think about the inevitability that's now staring me straight in the face. Roa is gone. My partnership with Arcwade has come to an end. If Ciel Senpai's objective was to eliminate Roa, then there's no longer a reason for her to stay here. I grit my teeth to prevent my frustrations from boiling over. I always knew that this was inevitable, but never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that it would be so soon. I want Senpai to stay. I want her to stay, but There isn't even a single thing I can do to make that a reality. I steal a glance at Senpai's face. I wonder what she's planning to do from now on. Tono-kun. Senpai suddenly stops and addresses me. What is it, Senpai? I tense my stomach as I respond, as if bracing myself to withstand the words that I'm likely to hear. Even while preparing for the worst, I try to keep my voice as lighthearted and natural as possible. Well, this is a personal request, but, would you mind if we continued our discussion from this afternoon? Huh? Continue our discussion? The one about Senpai's body? I don't mind at all, but, you mean about how your body is similar to Arquade's, right? Senpai nods, still facing away from me. A moment passes in silence. She takes a deep breath, then begins to speak. This is a hypothetical, okay? You said that I wasn't one, but if I told you I actually was a vampire, what would you do? My mind instantly goes blank. I can't even begin to think what Senpai is getting at here. I'm the same as her. Just as you could say she's a vampire that lacks experience, you could say that I'm a vampire who lacks self-awareness. Senpai almost seems as if she's talking to herself. I'm speechless. Inexperienced as I am, I can't offer any words to comfort her, nor any rebuttal to what I'm being told. Even so, I can understand that Senpai is letting her heart bare to me right now. I can't respond to something like that with a lie. Right now, all I can do is tell her my true and honest feelings. That's fine. I don't care. Huh? Like I said, I don't care. Even if you were a vampire, I'd still love you, Senpai. Senpai spins around to face me. Her reaction was sudden, like a child startled by a splash of cold water that had landed on their back. Is that so? That wasn't where I was going when I said to imagine that I was a vampire. I was actually trying to get at whether you'd still trust me. Now that this case has been put to rest, I have to decide whether or not to erase your memories, you see. Oh, silly me, of course that's what you meant. I trust you completely, don't worry, your secret's safe with me. Senpai blushes, but there's no doubt that my face is even more red than hers. Ah, crap, I really need to read the mood before I open my mouth. Anyway, the important thing is that to me, you'll always be the Ciel Senpai I know. Now come on, let's go back, it's cold out. I nervously start talking to hide my embarrassment, but something I say snaps me right back down to earth. Go back. Where would Senpai go back to? My feelings run cold. I hang my head, too scared to look Senpai in the face. Tono-kun. I hear Senpai's voice. When I hear her calm and emotionless voice, I accept the fact that I can't run away anymore. What is it? I respond without looking up. You know why I came to this city, right? Of course, it was to exterminate Roa. That's right. However, I have yet to tell you why. I'd actually been meaning to tell you while we patrolled the city together tonight, but everything ended more quickly than I'd expected. You can say that again. Everything ended so quickly that it was kinda anticlimactic. Still, it was only a matter of time. The fact that it happened so soon was just thanks to a string of unexpected coincidences. I thought you were chasing after Roa because that's your job as a member of the church. Did you have some other reason? I do. Let's just say that the team I'm a part of doesn't get a lot of missions. We only ever got called on a handful of times a year, usually for something minor. So you see, I've been pursuing this case of my own accord. I came to the city not because of orders I received from the church, but of my own volition. Your own volition? Yes, I acted based on my own personal feelings. I've been chasing after Roa for a long time now, all because I want to die as a human. He is the one responsible for my body being the way it is now. She wants to die? She wants to die? That's the sole purpose for which I've kept on living. But that too is over. It's been 6 years since I became an executor, though whether that's a long time or a short one, I couldn't say. Her emotionless voice trails off. As I stare at the floor, I see Senpai's hand poke into my field of view. Please raise your head. You said you wanted me to be smiling when you saw me for the last time, didn't you, Tono-kun? Senpai's hand grasps mine. Her smile is the same as I've seen time and time again, an unsurpassed smile that warms my melancholy heart. You have my thanks, Tono-kun. With this, my work is over. All that remains is for me to fulfill my remaining responsibilities. Senpai, you're really going to leave now? I considered erasing your memories, but decided against it. I didn't want you to hate me for it, Tono-kun. Yes. Thank you for everything. It's been a long time since I last felt this happy, so let's shake hands one last time. So that's why she held out her hand to me. I reciprocate her grasp, closing my fingers around the hand that had enveloped mine. My chest feels like it's about to burst, but what else can I do? There's nothing that I can do to repay her other than firmly return her handshake. Well then, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Please stay good friends with Inui-kun even after I'm gone, okay? I wish I could have been the kind of student you two are. And make sure you keep wearing those glasses, viewers, okay? Strange things attract one another. Everything may have worked itself out, but you never know how things might turn out next time. Yeah, I know. Someone drilled that into me a long time ago. Also, I'll have you know that I've only ever taken them off these past couple of days, alright? Is that so? I'm relieved to hear it. I can no longer feel Senpai's fingers. Our handshake is over. We each take a few steps backward. We're far enough apart that even if I reached out my arm, I wouldn't be able to touch her. Senpai, will we ever meet again? I know it won't change anything, but I can't help asking. There's always a chance. If fate will have it, I'm sure we will. After all, we're both still alive, aren't we? I see. She's right, of course. As so long as we're alive, there's always a chance we'll be lucky enough to meet again someday, even if our relationship was based on a chance encounter that wasn't destined to happen at all. I wanted to talk with you a little more, but if I get started, I fear I'd never stop, so I'll just end it here. I feel like that's all I ever say to you, Tono-kun. Senpai gives me a bashful smile and turns around. Well then, this is farewell. Take care to not get lost on your way home. This feels like it's not the end though. It can't be. There's no way. Especially from what I know of the original game, it's not the end. I couldn't say anything in response. Also, it wouldn't be the correct number of days. I think there should be like 14 days maybe. This is the 10th. I couldn't do anything to stop her either. The girl I've been constantly chasing after these past few days fades away like a dream. She leaves behind nothing but a feeling of emptiness in my chest. I see. I think I finally understand. And yet, my heart feels at ease. I don't feel depressed like I did yesterday, nor am I wallowing in self-hatred. From the very beginning, I'd understood on some level that we could never be together. We don't live in the same world, or even the same era. Everyone, no matter who they are, has to say goodbye at some point. The reason it had felt so painful before was because we hadn't properly said our farewells. But this time is different. I was able to say goodbye to Senpai with a smile on my face. It's thanks to that I can be so calm. I feel like I needed to be able to have that peace of mind. I should go. I can't stand around here forever. After telling myself that, I forced my legs to start walking. This long night has come to an end. All that remains is for me to let everything fade away and return to the ordinary life I've led up to this point. Can we though? Especially after everything that's happened? My trip back to the mansion is uneventful. It's past 9 o'clock. I've missed curfew by over an hour. Welcome back, Shiki-san. I'm glad to see you return safely. You're back a little later today than you usually are. How have you been? Have you been feeling alright? Kohaku-san is waiting for me in the lobby. She must have noticed me buzz in through the main gate and come out to greet me. I'm home, Kohaku-san. Sorry I'm so late. I'm feeling fine though. I just got held up dealing with a personal matter. Well, that's like a half-truth. No need to apologize. I'm simply glad that you've returned home safely. If you'd like dinner, please go make yourself at home in the living room and I'll prepare something for you right away. Is Akiha in there? I'm not worried about the fact that I broke curfew. It's more that I can't get what Noelle-sensei told me out of my head, and I'm not sure I could face Akiha right now. No need to fear. Akiha-sama has already retired for the evening. As such, any nagging has been postponed until tomorrow morning. No, that's not what I meant, but alright. Kohaku-san, did you ever hear anything about there being a third sibling who lived in the mansion along with Akiha and me? Another child besides you and Akiha-sama? I don't think I have. Why do you ask, Shiki-san? Did something happen? No, I just heard someone say I might have had an older brother. I don't have much faith in my memories from back then, so I thought I'd ask. Akiha-sama is your only sibling, Shiki-san? Okay, yeah, I do remember this from the near side routes. I keep forgetting. Yeah, I mean, it was a plot point in the near side routes, but it was different in the far side routes, like where the brother was the one that was the vessel for Roa. I've been working here ever since I was very young, so I can say that with certainty. Kohaku-san gives me a triumphant smile. I see, so Kohaku-san has been here ever since we were children. Wait, what? Kohaku-san, you worked here even way back then? That's right. We were only apprentices, but Hisui-chan and I were allowed to assist with some of the simpler tasks. Of course, it was a long time ago now, so I think it's only natural for it to have slipped your mind, Shiki-san. I mean, if we met before, I really ought to have remembered you. I'm ashamed of how forgetful I am. It's okay, I can't blame you. There were a lot of people coming and going at the Tono mansion back then. And besides, it was back when we were children. It still feels like such a big mansion even now, doesn't it? To a child, it seemed like an endless maze. I could barely remember my way around the main building, let alone the guest house and botanical garden next to where the tennis courts used to be, or the detached mansion building. There were a lot of relatives staying here as well. I imagine that only Makihisa-sama, the family head, ever knew where everyone was at any given time. Oh yeah, you've jogged my memory. In fact, if I think about it, I remember being warned never to go to the second floor alone as a child because it was dangerous, and getting scolded for getting too close to the guest house. In a mansion this large, it's pretty plausible that there were people I never ran into the whole time I was living here. Quite right, Akiha-sama is rather busy these days, so they're currently vacant, but we even have a set of stables for horseback riding. The gardens back then were a hive of activity. It was all so much fun. Kawaku-san leaves for the kitchen, a nostalgic smile playing across her face. An adopted older brother who died many years ago. No, Kawaku-san is right. There's no point thinking any more about it. They were chosen as Roa's vessel, transformed into a vampire, left the mansion, and kept on living beneath the city. No matter how much I rack my brain, it won't help me remember anything about who they could have been. If Akiha doesn't know, then there's no point bothering her about it. It's all in the past anyway. Muttering to myself, I head for the living room. I'm not hungry, but I should still make sure I eat to try and at least take the edge off my exhaustion. After finishing dinner and taking a bath, I get into bed. I cover myself with the blankets, then stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Falling asleep always used to make me feel a little uneasy, but today it feels like being embraced by a sense of pure liberation. It's liberation born from a sense of loss, but a release all the same. It's over. Scars and memories will remain, but with this, it's all over. From tomorrow on, I'll be back to living life as an ordinary student, just as I did before. I've had enough of all this killing. It's time to forget. Forget about everyone, and starting tomorrow. I shake my head to clear away the vision that flashed before my eyes. She's already gone. It's not like I could have kept her here with nothing but the power of my own selfish thoughts. Fuck. How could I ever? Senpai and I have always belonged to two different worlds. That's why I convinced myself that it was for the best if we parted ways. I didn't want her to hate me, so I tried to show her that I understood this had to be the end. But just look at me now. Farewells don't hurt if you say them with a smile. What a crock of shit. How could I ever forget the time I spent with her? If I'd known it was going to hurt this much, I'd have just had her erase my memory. Don't be stupid. I banished that sulking thought from my mind. Enough. I just need to sleep. I'm sure that by tomorrow, I'll have resigned myself to the way things are. I'll submit myself to sleep once again, knowing as always there's no guarantee I'll ever wake, so that all these feelings can be scraped away, and I can greet the morning with open arms. Holding tight to this belief, I entrust my body and mind to oblivion. Yeah, there's no way it's really over though. What the fuck is going on? Following a gas explosion of unknown cause, this crater is all that's left of the park. The police have cordoned it off, but their investigation has been on hold ever since, leaving this mountain of rubble a blind spot nestled within the city. Noelle flees across this barren land, her breath coming in short, painful bursts. With one of her legs paralyzed from the electric shock and unable to move properly, she crawls her way down the sloping rubble. Her cheeks are smeared with mud, her habit is in tatters, and the gaping wound in her right shoulder has turned gangrenous. It would be difficult to picture a more unseemly sight. Anyone in the know would surely think she was a low-ranking dead apostle if they saw her, probably even one of the dead, the lowest rank of all. She looks so downtrodden that if you told someone that mere hours earlier she'd been an executor, they wouldn't be able to believe it. Did she just fall down? What the hell just happened? She steps on an unfortunately placed piece of debris, causing its fragile balance to collapse, and sending her tumbling to the bottom like a garbage bag that's been tossed to the curb. You want to feel bad for her, but considering the kind of person she is, you just can't. She's completely sadistic. She definitely has more than a few screws loose. She stifles the scream threatening to spill from her mouth. Even though she knows there's nobody coming after her, she won't let herself cry out, because she's run away from all sorts of things. From her executor partner, from the order to appear in front of the insolent acting presbyter, and now from the voracious thirst for blood that burns in her throat. Treatment? There's no way in hell I could ever accept treatment. She can't help but weep, unable to bear the pain in her shoulder. If she went to the church's local branch, she could receive treatment for her wounds, but that's one thing she could never do. Having her body examined in its current state would be tantamount to suicide for her. Why is that, though? I will say there is a certain spoiler that I know about Noelle, because of course, I've been on different sites and I've seen certain images, but I'm kind of wondering how that comes about. I'll just say that. The pain in her shoulder is excruciating, like it could rot and fall off at any moment. It, together with her burning thirst, wreaks havoc with her mind. A normal human would find themselves hard-pressed to do anything more than simply endure the pain she's in. However, despite her dire situation, the only thing that fills Noelle's thoughts is hatred for her. What was that? What the hell? What the hell was that? She strikes the ground with the one hand she's still able to move. As she steeps in anguished frustration, she thinks back on the battle that just took place. The fight was over in an instant. She knew she never stood a chance in a head-to-head battle against her. That's why if she was going to fight, she had to settle it with the opening strike. She decided that she'd pretend to aim for Ciel, while instead targeting the boy behind her. And yet, she wasn't even able to do that. In that case, she had thrown those black keys with all her might, but they had still been blocked. Despite secretly hoping they'd find their mark, she knew there was no chance they would. It was her next attack that was supposed to deal the finishing blow, but the fight was suddenly over before it had even begun. In that moment, her mind was flooded with despair so intense it bordered on self-flagellation. When? How? I didn't even see her move. We're not talking about a difference in ability here. Sure, ever since I met her 6 years ago, I've known that I'm no match for her, but still, I believe that after giving it my very best, I'd have at least narrowed that gap a little. But the gap is even bigger now than it was 6 years ago. Compared with her, I'm nothing but a worm. Stand down, Sister Noelle. That's what she'd said. Sister, the gall of that bitch. She had been rejecting Noelle, both as an executor and as her disciple. That's fine. She's painfully aware that she's lost her way. Even if Tonoshiki had never entered the picture, this day would still have come sooner or later. Still. Fuck! She lets out a strangled cry of resentment. She can't believe Ciel's audacity. She'll never forgive that unsightly display. Now is when she exposes her weak and vulnerable side and displays such humanity. After all this, she'll never ever forgive such treachery. Noelle had always been able to bear it up until now. She was jealous of Ciel's genius, but she'd managed to make it through those 6 long years by clinging to the belief that Ciel was nothing more than a slave, someone even lower than herself. So then what the hell was that? She's a hero. She isn't even human anymore. Once she's been convinced of that idea, she'd been able to put aside her desire for revenge. But what if it had all been a lie? If that inhuman behavior of hers had been an act, if she'd longed for happiness inside her heart, if she'd experienced that all too human suffering, then that would be the ultimate act of betrayal. Has she cast it all away? Her atonement for everything she did to Noelle? Her atonement for everything she had ruined? If she can laugh from the bottom of her heart, how could she ever deserve to be forgiven? That snake was only ever forgiven on account of her superhuman capabilities. And because she wasn't human, Noelle could overlook the sin she had committed. But if she is human after all, then she absolutely cannot be forgiven. Punishment upon sin, retribution upon evil, even greater cruelty upon cruelty. Ciel must now be punished for her deeds. And yet, I can't do anything. Because she's strong, she'll be happy because she's strong, and I'll be left to die because I'm weak? Fuck. That's so frustrating. If only I was stronger than her. If she were, she'd be able to mete out retribution. She laments that she cannot be the one to take that Iron Maiden, that wind-up doll that does nothing but fight, and put her in her place. She continues to vigorously claw at the ground, heedless of the fact that her nails have been ripped out, and the tips of her fingers have already been ground away. Oh God. She begs for salvation for herself, and for a fitting end to befall her. The former executor dedicates herself wholeheartedly to her litany of curses. Of course, prayers are supposed to be dedications to the Lord. She has already completely forgotten that one does not pray about earthly matters, and certainly not for one's own salvation. Ooh, I love that attitude. Who is talking? I think that little wish of yours will prove a particularly titillating treat. Is that who I think it is? Is it Iraq? Is that Dr. Iraq? Huh? Seeing another person has suddenly appeared, she looks over her shoulder. But by this point, her fate is already set in stone. Yep, it is. Yoo-hoo, good evening. You must be a really naughty girl to have your hideout in a place like this. Well, not like it matters to me. What did I hear you say, Noelle-chan? You want to get stronger, whatever it takes? Okay, so yeah, Iraq is definitely a little bit more than what she seems on the surface. I'm not surprised that she, is probably keeping some secrets about who she really is. Noelle is having trouble keeping up with what's happening. It's true that she'd set up camp here to avoid the acting presbyter's prying eyes. Not even Ciel found out about this place, so how on earth did this woman know? Don't come any closer. Who are you? Me? Oh, I'm just a passing good Samaritan. I suppose if I wanted to stay on time with you, Noelle-chan, I could introduce myself as Scrooge, but honestly, I kinda hate A Christmas Carol. What? What kind of reference is that? How does that... that makes no sense. Nothing she says makes any sense. I mean, isn't that just the story of someone strong becoming a total weakling? It's lacking in love. You know, love. On that note, I'm currently offering a huge discount on love. Making weaklings strong is my life's work, you see? How about it? Want me to make you stronger as a little commiseration? Huh. Everything she said is so absurd that Noelle finds herself smiling. This nonsensical stranger is so patently comical that she completely lets her guard down. Quit fucking with me. What the hell do you know, waltzing in here spouting off without a care in the world? If I had a way of getting stronger, I'd have done it ages ago. Someone like me, someone ordinary like me can't hope to compete with that genius, no matter how hard I try. Anger and frustration well up from the bottom of her heart. She vents the feelings that have been building inside her for the last in reality, the last 13 years. No matter how hard you try? Did I hear that correctly, darling? Whoa, her personality just changed. It's like a switch has been flipped inside her. The woman in the lab coat advances on the girl groveling on the floor, her heels clicking with each step she takes. You haven't tried anything yet. All you've done is scrape by. You've sacrificed nothing to make yourself stronger. No effort, no cunning, no confessions, no love, nothing. Her fingers graze the girl's lips. The pale fingers lift Noelle's mud-stained face. But you could still make it. How about it, little darling? Would you really do anything if it would make you stronger? Her reply is barely a whisper, but it contains an undeniable resolve. Though she dreads what the woman's temptation might entail, she agrees. She agrees and seals her fate. Oh boy. I know what's coming too. I know what form she's going to take. Let's just say that. But how? Oh, it's no big deal. I'll just turn you into a real vampire. Huh? Wait, what are you saying? You'll turn me into a vampire? No, into a real vampire? Yep. Real. Oh, Noelle-chan, really? You thought you'd turn into a vampire if you had your blood sucked? But I'm afraid you've got it all wrong. You don't even have what it takes to turn into a vampire. It seems you still haven't gotten to grips with just how painfully average you are. Well, her whole character is about kind of lamenting how average she is or how she's not good enough. But no need to fret. My method can turn any human, even a pathetic worm, into a vampire. Wait! Are you saying I'm not contaminated, even though my throat is aching and I'm in this much pain? Ah, that's just your mind playing tricks on you. You sure you haven't simply caught a cold or something? Noelle scrabbles at the ground, trying to escape, but something slowly weighs her down from behind. Before long, her entire body has been bound hand and foot by white thread. The creature that crawled onto her back runs its glistening tongue along Noelle's lips. It's like a repulsive spider, reveling in the torment of its captured prey. What the hell? Oh god. Is this like the worms from Heaven's Feel or whatever? Like, I don't know. I'm wondering what the hell Dr. Arak even is or who she is. Now then, shall we begin, my dear little worm? Oh, it's my first time doing a clinical trial. I'm so excited that I might not be able to keep it in my pants. For all we know, she might actually have something in her pants. Stop. Please, stop. No. Anything but a vampire. I'd rather die. I still don't feel bad for her. Her excruciating rebirth is over in a matter of minutes. While the girl's body has undergone a total metamorphosis, her mind remains untouched. Her human senses, intellect, and morals are still in the process of being upgraded to their new vampiric form. Yeah, this is what I thought. The sounds coming out of her mouth are a confused mixture of pain and joy. Once upon a time, the girl swore that a vampire was the one thing she would never become. Even now, she clings to that oath. After all, taking revenge on vampires has been her raison d'etre. But that too will probably vanish in just a few more minutes. The obsession she had clung to as a human amounted to nothing. Now, a far greater ecstasy courses through her body. See? Isn't everything easier now that you've transformed? I'll admit I didn't really expect you to come out looking like that, but I suppose that age was when you were at your most enthusiastic, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. You got a problem with that? This is me. This is me. The one who wanted this is me. I love it. It's well made, this body. Allow me to give you my thanks. No thanks necessary. This is a work of charity after all. But you realize you still can't win against that executor as you are, right? In fact, haven't you painted a target on your back? You think I don't already know that? Right now, a single black key would be enough to take me out. What should I do? Why, you better get some more shots, hadn't you? What's that? Is it different to the one you just gave me? Nope, same thing. These syringes contain a special magical drug that I created. An idea replica. Each injection is potent enough to take your rank as a dead apostle to the next level. She has a fucking serum that just upgrades you as a vampire? What the fuck? Yeah, now I really want to know who this person is. But each shot you take will also rack your soul with the agony of death. Dead apostles may not normally feel any pain, but having their principle overwritten is as painful as death itself. I suppose the only downside is that I can't guarantee you'll survive? There are still 6 syringes left in her hand. The girl understands better than anyone else that her current self corresponds to rank 2. Dead apostles that reach rank 4 become able to crush most executors. If they keep going and make it to rank 5, their curse is so strong that they can win against multiple executors acting in concert, in which case 2 or 3 more shots would be enough to set her free, both in body and spirit. If she took all of them, she could become a rank 8, one step away from the ancestors, the pinnacles of the dead apostles, who not even the true ancestors can lay a finger on. But with each injection, she would die once. Now that she's a dead apostle, it's clear to the girl that her soul cannot withstand that kind of dosage. 1 injection, 1 rank. Yes, I can guarantee you that. Now, how far will you push your luck, I wonder? Her sticky smile taunts the newborn dead apostle. After a moment's hesitation, the girl snatches all the syringes from her hand. With her face distorted by fear, she takes the first needle and jams it into her own heart. Jesus Christ. The pseudo-principle floods her veins. The excruciating agony is incomparable to her earlier transformation. She feels the intense discomfort of being rejected by all of creation. The two forces collide inside her body. Yeah. Still don't feel bad for her. And it's also like she did that to herself, so yeah, I definitely don't feel bad for her. The syringes are now nothing more than instruments of torture. A hellish trial in which she undergoes transformation after transformation, never satisfied with the results. Second by second, she plunges from abhorrent death to sickening rebirth and back again. I wonder how many ranks she's gonna go through after she's done, or how many syringes she's gonna inject herself with. Her crimson body convulses in endless pain, unable to so much as scream for help. If she were to look up, she would see no moon, no stars. She is trapped within this hell on earth, fenced in by 8 legs. Her screams continue to echo in the dark, never reaching anyone's ears, until her heart finally becomes that of a real vampire. Oh boy. So Noelle's just completely lost it. Not as if she hadn't already, but yeah,